Good morning, everyone. All right, so market moving up a little bit more. This was the anticipated move, and the question here is this where it ends? And so based on historical patterns, this is the area where it should end, this move up, and then some type of sideways consolidation, could be a double top. But as it comes up into this area, this was the pattern that I explained from the beginning here when this started with the wide range bar. I have the Apple news and then the reversal back up. And now as it comes up into this area, which is like, I guess around maybe a little bit more than 50% from the swing high to that swing low, give or take, but it's coming up into resistance. It's about the extent of a move that would normally occur after a pattern like this, where prices were in a downtrend and then accelerate lower. And, as we talked about, accelerating lower, starting with a wide range bar, that kind of sell setup is a low odds setup. Sometimes they retest and make W's, but this one made the higher low. And now at this point, when does it turn down? Well, we don't know for sure, but just from this time frame, the daily time frame, the trigger would be trading under a prior bar's low. So this is today's bar. We have to wait for it to complete. And then ideally, what we look for is on the 60-minute chart, it could either just break below a swing low, or it starts to go sideways a little bit, kind of like, so this kind of choppy price action, and then it turns back down again. So that's what we'll be looking for in the next couple of days. Right now, the trend is up. It's getting close to a sell area where there's price resistance. And now we just wait and see. Do we see some high tick readings on the NYSE tick? And at that time, maybe it doesn't make much headway, where there's these spurts of buying that does not produce much upside. So there'll be some clues along the way. And, just being objective about it, just saying, okay, it's got to break a prior day's low. Well, you mark your line in the sand, and what if it just keeps marching up into this area here? Well, it could do that. Historically, that would be less likely. But if it was to do that, that would be bullish. It would be pretty surprising to me if that happened. But in any event, we still have to see it break some support, form some kind of reversal, a topping tail, a red bar, a 180 down reversal, some indication, some signal that prices are ready to turn down from there within this downtrend, which is also a downtrend on the weekly. It's also in a downtrend on the monthly. And I said yesterday that historically suggests that prices are going to go lower and either test this low, make a higher low, break down below it. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. So we just go along with the patterns that are forming and wait to see when the turn comes, where it happens from. In other words, we have patterns, we have trends, and we have locations, meaning prior resistance areas in case of a downtrend, as to where sellers are likely to show up. And things pretty much look the same across the board here. We've got the NASDAQ coming up into that area a little further into it, that topping tail, looking at the 60-minute chart, just pushing that up. It's a little further away, right around, well, it's right there, actually. You can see the number, give or take a little bit. I don't try and put it exactly on the high, just mark them up. And, so there's a number that you can reference as on the S&Ps, give or take a little bit higher low. So 2,600, you think would be a pretty stiff area of resistance, being a whole number. You've got this high up in here. And right now it looks like it's on its way to move up there until something suggests that it's not. So, This choppy action after this run up was bullish, that it did not pull back, and now it's continued higher. And the thing to do now is put a line in the sand. All right. And just put another line there and set an alert, which I'm doing. Done. And I already have alert up there. So when it gets up in that area, and you'll want to just set an alert, even if you're not watching it, the NYSE tick. So if it was to come up into this area and you'd get a tick reading of 1,000, 1,200, something 1,000 or better, that would be a pretty good indication that probably you would see a stall, and then we'd watch to see the extent of the pullback. I want to take a look at the VIX because this was coming down to support here. So this moves inverse with the market. You can see the spike up. Now it's come all the way back down to this low here. So the volatility index coming to an area of prior support would be suggestive or supportive of a market that is likely to make a short-term top. So there's another thing to keep an eye on. You can set an alert on this, see if it starts moving up, confirmation of a pullback. So buying puts. Okay. And the Dow, same thing. So we mark off the reference areas in these different markets. And let's put this one up here as to where sellers are likely to be. And while we can use something like a 50 MA because it's widely followed on an index, we look for a moving average to be in alignment with some area of resistance to use it as such. So prices did stall a little bit at the 50, at the 20 here. You see that narrow bodied bar from yesterday, but now they're pushing up further into an area of price resistance. Right? That's the topping tail high. And we'll see what the reaction is up there. So far, it looks like it's going to go up there today. Bonds are pulling back. So you had a breakout failure now where you had this consolidation and then this spike higher, and now they've come all the way back down to the breakout area. That's a short-term bearish signal, but it's within an uptrend, but it's a positive situation where, okay, bonds prices are coming down and yields are going up. And as I said yesterday, the concern of a yield inversion becomes less so. So that's a positive for the market. But in short term, we have prices coming up into that resistance area and in a downtrend. Oil coming up into that $50 area. You can see how it's stalled there. And kind of pushed up there 3 days ago. I tried to get through it yesterday. It's not backed off there today, but just like we use a prior day's low as a reference point of a trigger, and if you were going to short oil, well, some might just be selling it in here because they're just going to short up into the resistance area. But who's to say that it just marches this way up here? So using a prior bar's low as a trigger, if prices were to continue to churn higher, you're just waiting for your time to where sellers really do take control. And it's just a simple way of letting prices put you into a position at what is likely be a better time than just getting in front of it where it's just grinding its way up. And gold has been pulling back here, and it's got close to this resistance area up there. It's in an uptrend, but the gold mining stocks didn't do all that well considering this push up here. And so we'll keep an eye on. We keep an eye on this all the time just to see what it's doing. And there'll come a time where, for myself, I'll like it as a better opportunity for gold. Let's just say XLK is gapping up, which it's not a surprise, but You know, similar kind of situation. It's in a sharp downtrend. It accelerated lower, the wide range bar. I guess this was the Apple news, and now it's coming up here. And it's a little gap over here. So these things that are gapping up, we have to see what they're going to do here since prices are coming up into resistance. 30-minute low could be a trigger to sell. We'll see if prices that are gapping up, whether sellers just come in and start pushing them lower immediately. So we know prices are at these resistance areas. Now we're just going to see how bearish the reaction is to them. And we'll assess that, especially, you know, and look at the end of the day, is this red bar? Is this green bar a red bar? Is it still up there at the end of the day? And then what happens tomorrow? No objective. We know that we're closer to a stall in this move up and a likely continuation of it moving higher. So that's to look for today. Transports severely underperforming. That is not a good sign. I think, do they possibly play catch up here? It happens sometimes. We'll see. I think that's less likely, but I always keep two scenarios in mind. And the Russell is coming up. It's not quite up into its resistance area, but it doesn't necessarily have to get there. So if today continues to push higher, here's this pre-market. It is gapping up 141-ish. Oh, it's getting close to this resistance. So we'll see what it does, as we always do. We'll see what the reaction is up there. And you can see a few stocks gapping up here. Apple came weird trading yesterday in that it was underperforming. It was, where is it? It was right over here yesterday. Actually, I was short it and I covered, just started trail stopping it. And the market was rolling and it was going lower. And all of a sudden, Apple just stalled. I don't know if there was any news yesterday, and it just ripped higher at that point in time. So I don't know if there was any news that got that going, but it was surprising because it was underperforming all day and then it just took off. So maybe this is put in a short-term bottom. If the market starts to pull back, I would be interested to see how much this actually pulls back from here. You can see where it is. It's on some support. Last week's bar, kind of a wide range with a little tail. So it looks like it's starting to stabilize here. I think it's worth keeping an eye on. It was news relationship, Apple and Samsung. And I think there's some news about, is there some news about Samsung or some stock starting with an S that I read that there was some news concerns about slowing?
Yeah, Samsung 29% off the less profit. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem to be affecting the market much here. I don't know what stocks it is, but we'll take a look at that. Take over, Dan.
All right, good morning.
You sound better.
Yeah, thanks. The salt and the bourbon and the honey, I think, did the trick.
Must have been more so the bourbon.
Yeah, Samsung missed. But look at semis. Our semis are gapping up. All right, let's take a look at some opens. PayPal, we have a Condor, and yesterday we were talking about maybe having to do an adjustment to get more bullish, and Paul rolled up his puts, which I said was a great thing to do. We might do it also, but I just wanted to, wait a little bit more and see what the overall market's going to do. J&J, we have a put spread gapping up a little bit, and actually I like this as a directional if it can get above those highs. I'm going to put that in a window. Thumbnail. GoDaddy put spread, it's fine. We have profit, locked in profit. Whiskey Bravo, we have a Condor, and it's gapping down, but it's beautiful. That's a beautiful Condor play setup. Ollie North, Well, actually, I think we said you could take, it was kind of a judgment. You could book the back half at a nice profit yesterday or try to squeeze a little bit more. Slob, we have a put spread, gapping up 73 cents. That was a very nice trade. In retrospect, I wish I did a directional also. The entry was over this high, beautiful double bottom, and that's when we were scanning the oil patch. What else? Our Victor Zulu, we had a short watch, but it didn't trigger. A couple others I'm watching here. Let me make sure I got all the opens. We're actually flat at the weekly. So Slav, Ollie, J&J, GoDaddy. Yeah, that's it. We don't have too many opens. But this little VIV. Brazil, that came from Alex. That's on my watch list. Alex also gave me EWZ. I need a little pullback. Low was the one we were trying to get a put spread off yesterday. And it looks like it's gapping up a little bit. Home Depot doing nothing. A DNR, we were trying to buy this over 220 and it gapped over it yesterday. We'll still keep an eye on it. NFX was another oil. KHC, little double bottom retest. X-ray, we need a pullback. CVS. We did day trade that the other day. Mitch, I have on my watch list here over yesterday's high. We could do a put spread. FLDM, sloppy, but it's a bullish daily, weekly, monthly. It's one of the strongest things out there. PVH from Alex, I still like that. That was a good swing. Somebody mentioned Shoemaker, Chris Shoemaker mentioned X. Somebody buying puts. It's a bounce and a downtrend, climactic. It's not a big put candidate to us unless, you had inside information. Some others here I'm watching, Momo. I liked, the daily, the monthly support. I'm going to watch that for a put spread. These not brokerage firms, the exchanges that have been wild lately. I finally read today, the news came out yesterday, of course, because the Journal is print newspaper, right? So it's reporting old news by definition. But some powerhouses are, Greg, I don't know if you knew this. Some powerhouses are they filed to make a new low-cost exchange to compete with the friggin' big boys. They're going to compete with New York Stock Exchange, with ICE, with SIBO. Those three have like 75% of all trading volume. And I think that's fantastic news for us little retail public guys. It's really pissed me off how those exchanges have a monopoly, and then like these data fees that they push through to us. Where else are we going to get prices for stocks other than the stock exchange? They're the ones matching up the orders, and then they're charging us for that data. They're just they're public companies. They're trying to make money. So here's ICE, and Paul actually posted this in the Facebook group, and I said, yeah, it's a short watch. I like it. Rally, resistance, gapped under a green bar, topping tail. Sure. Yeah, that's a nice call spread candidate. So let's take a look at them all here. NDAC, CME. Well, CME is stronger. Look at the deep retracement into, resistance. And, when I teach this concept of transfer of supply, this and that, I like using a war analogy. Look, they went deep into enemy territory. So that's a bullish retracement. BMY, that was the gap down the other day of them buying a company. Paul asked about this in Facebook group. Now, Paul, Greg's going to rock your world tomorrow on MT Live. Paul wrote, put a trend line here and say, you know, this is an uptrend line. And I'm like, what? What on earth are you talking about? An uptrend line. It could be a higher low, you know, I get that, but by putting a trend line here is just, it's just 100% meaningless to me. Goldman Sachs, we wanted this on this 1, 2, 3 right here. Kind of missed our ideal entry, and you know, I'm still in day trading mode. You know, the internals are going to get more cooked. We have a big gap. I mean, cooked meaning overbought. Oh, Greg, I meant to ask you this question about internals, even though you didn't show them. Because of the nasty oversold internals that we have at the prior low, here, I'll just show you spiders. Oh, we got 1 minute to go. You know, where the internals were this nasty, and that suggested, you know, more downside. And then you were saying, you know, we don't expect to get you know, an overbought to those historic high levels. You know, we expect a lower high in the oscillator and Brett. But my question to you is, what if they do go all the way back up, much more overbought than you expected? Then what would that mean to your bias?
They have done that.
Okay.
They're already up there now, but sentiment isn't. So,
right. I'm saying if they both do, if they both get way the heck up there,
sell. Still is waiting for the sell setup. So
no, right. No, I agree. We'll still take the sell setup, but I meant in terms of your kind of bias of, oh, this, you know, did this? It's like 100% retracement of a move is strength, even though we expect the next retracement. So I guess the question is, would that then lessen our bias that we're expecting new market lows? Yeah, that is a big tick. Wow.
I don't know if it's going down through the lows. The monthly chart said it is, but this low has created a support point that it's got to get through. So maybe that extended breath reading here would suggest that a retest of that low would be viable, but we'll see if it reverses.
Right. Hey, Alex, your PVH, you know, that was a nice trade yesterday. And I said that one I would have felt totally fine of holding overnight as a swing. Let me just go through some of these. I'm watching the markets as always, keeping an eye on the fangs here. Oh, I wanted to tell Pat, this Tesla,